What's going on, guys and gals of YouTube? My name is Rounded Tiktak and welcome back to another video. I think I finally fixed, we'll see once I get into editing, we'll see if I fixed it. I think I finally got the hiccup out of my system. I'm using a different program to record and it seems to be working, so hopefully. But today we're going to be talking about the Cleaner, the brand new sniper rifle that you can grab in the store right now for I believe 1680 gold. It is a single target, single shot sniper rifle with an incredibly long reload speed, but the damage on it is very, very high, sitting at 377,000 damage solo. There's nobody in my party per headshot. Now, there are certain things about this weapon and something I'm about to say that I can't believe I'm going to say. I would rather use a bow instead of this weapon. When the bows first came out, I didn't give them much credence. I didn't think they were very good. They buffed a couple of them and now I think they're okay. Some of them are pretty decent. A very long draw speed up to 2.5 seconds is kind of ridiculous on a gun that is a single target damage weapon, just like the Cleaner. But with the bows, at least, most of them have some sort of AoE that you can use with it. The Vindertech Seeking, the Nature Bow, the Boom Bow, all of those can kill multiple targets. This weapon is like a bow that only hits one target that takes even longer to shoot, which I really don't understand what they're going for here. We already have the Grunt, which is a fantastic single target weapon that does nothing else except do damage. And now we have the Cleaner with a 3-second long reload speed. Let's get into it. So I did mention in my first spy weapon review that I did want to do a lot of comparisons. A lot of these weapons have very similar cousins that are in the game currently. Here, what comes to mind is the Old Betsy, the Obliterator, the Crescendo. All of those guns do what this does, but do they do it better? For the most part, yes. This gun in particular is just not for me. I'm going to say that right now, but I'm going to do my best to make this unbiased and give you my honest opinion about if you should level it up and when it actually has applicable instances of use. Let's go over the roles real quick. This one you can do a little differently if you want to. There are many ways that you can roll this. Most weapons that have a very long reload speed or draw time, I like to go crit chance, crit damage, but the headshot scaling is so high on this weapon, even though I never suggest it, and I still don't, even after playing with this, is I tried a headshot damage in the first spot. Then I went with crit damage in the second, energy, of course, in the third, another crit damage and crit rating. The sixth perk here is nothing too special. It is special, but we're used to it. This weapon is actually the one that you would use this the best, as it's a sniper rifle with a range of 25,000. It allows you to stand away from the enemies and not have to move unless a taker comes or a lobber cloud or something along those lines gets in your way that you eventually have to move. You can stack up to 55% extra damage by just standing still. The weapon does hit hard. Very, very hard. But is that enough to make it good? Not really. If you want to change these roles and you don't want to go for that crit damage, I would recommend either going damage or another crit rating here. Again, you only have one bullet, so you might as well hit as hard as humanly possible. Another crit rating here might be the play. But this is how I have mine leveled up, and it's all right. It's okay, I guess. But let's compare it to some of the other sniper rifles that are currently in the game that people are already used to and enjoy using. So let's take the Obliterator. Let's just compare this quickly here and see how they stack up. Now you can see right here, if we do the Cleaner versus the Obliterator, the Cleaner has more damage per shot, but remember there's only one bullet in the magazine. The headshot damage is almost double, which is again good. The crit chance is also higher with just one crit rating on both of these weapons. 570 crit damage for both. The fire rate is where things get interesting. 0.63 for the Obliterator and 0.3 for the Cleaner. Because there's only one bullet there, your DPS is in the toilet. 32,000 DPS with a gun that hits for 377,000 damage. I think that right there tells a story in itself. The fact that it hits so hard yet its DPS is so low that it's really a very niche weapon for mist monsters, and that's really it. If you use one of these shots on a small husk, it's technically a waste because you're going to be hitting for 2.7 million damage to kill a tiny little husk. Really is not worth it. The reload time on both of these is 3.5 and 3, but remember on the Obliterator you do have 4 magazines you do have 4 bullets in a magazine, which allows you to have your DPS at least at 50k, and in my opinion with crit chance and crit damage it's probably a lot higher than that. Also on the Obliterator, your impact is much higher. Now, the Obliterator is a weapon that can pierce targets, which the Cleaner cannot do, except it does seem that it can pierce up to one target behind it. Now, another sniper rifle that we can use to compare here is the Old Betsy. In my opinion, it's my favorite sniper rifle and one of the best in the entire game. It hits very hard, it has crazy high impact, and is just a really good gun. With a damage of 102,000 versus 107, very similar here. DPS though, look at that, 92,000 because of the difference in reload speeds. They both have one bullet in the chamber, the exact same crit hit chance, exact same crit hit damage. Headshot damage, as I mentioned earlier, is ridiculously high on this gun, but if you miss that headshot, you're losing out on all this bonus damage. It's just me personally, I don't like it. You get around 1 bullet per second here, which is amazing compared to almost less than 1 bullet. Magazine size of 1. The range is less on the Old Betsy. This has 25,000, which is great. The reload time is half of what the Cleaner is, and it has much more impact. Out of all of these weapons, I feel like it performs the weakest out of the 3. I honestly think it compares more to something like the Night Owl. They both have 1 shot or 1 arrow here. You can see the DPS is at 187. The crit chance is lower, but that's fine if you're running totally rocking out. The fire rate is 1.8, so basically a 2-second long reload speed. The range is less, the reload time is less, the ammo is the same, and it has more impact, but this is where it comes into play. Eliminating 2 enemies with this weapon reduces your current health by 12.5%, the entire Black Metal 6 perk here, but it doesn't AoE. That means at least you're doing a little bit of damage to enemies near or around the target, because without that perk in there, you're really only hitting one guy for one bunch of damage. And on top of that, hitting for 2.7 million damage in the game is kind of redundant. Unless you're doing endurance, which 95% of the people who do endurance do stall endurances where you don't have to hit for 3 million damage anymore. You do not need that amount of damage. You just don't. I would rather have a gun that's unique and then instead of hits like a truck. That's why I really like the mythic weapons. Every single one of them does the same. On the base game at level 163, 2.7 million damage is just too much. You'll 2 to 1 shot even smashers, making everything about the weapon that it does well kind of just So I didn't only just use, sorry, I got an itch. I didn't just only use Rabbit Raider Jonesy. I also use Chromium Ramirez because she's the only character in the game that has a reload perk at 50%. So that takes that 3-second reload speed and drops it to 1.5. That sounds reasonable, but hold on. There seems to be a pre-fire delay. What is a pre-fire delay? Well, it is a moment in time where you can't do anything. The gun is finishing reloading and you can't shoot it. Even though the bar is completely done and off of your screen, the little white reload bar that was recently introduced, and it's not there, you still can't shoot for maybe another 0.2 or 0.3 seconds, bringing us up to a total of 1.7, which at that case we're more like at 2. So still, in that case, the Old Betsy will outperform this. And if you use this build for the Old Betsy, you're looking at a 0.5 second reload, which is, or I'm sorry, a 0.75 second reload, which is ridiculous for something that hits that hard with that amount of impact. It has crowd control, it has damage. Again, like I said, these weapons have a lot of cousins in the game. So we're using Totally Rockin' Out, Locked and Reloaded, Subwoofers, Ow My Eye, Sure Shot, and Battle Beat. This is just an all-around build that I was using, and it's okay, I guess. God, there's such a delay on the fire rate.
Okay, boomers.
Here, look at this, Ryan. Ready?
Triple it, dude.
Look. Ready? I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna tell you when the reload symbol's done. Ready? Done. I guess we almost lost the mission. I mean, that happened. We were all using the sniper rifle for the most part, and since it's single target and we had no AoE damage and everybody was playing a sniper character, all of the little husks got through. Another thing to mention, that this weapon is probably pretty decent on defenders because of how hard it hits, plus the 25,000 range. So if you want to try it out on defender, feel free to do so. But remember, we did almost lose a 140 mission that wasn't a 4-man. We should never lose those. Another thing that I want to mention real quick, that if somehow you do not have a better weapon to use for the Mythic Storm King, this is actually probably decent. In that case, run it double crit rating, double crit damage, and physical to do the most damage you can to the weak spots on the Storm King. So if you don't happen to have an Old Betsy or a rocket launcher that we usually recommend, you can use this and it probably will perform pretty well. So I just wanted to mention that before we finish this up. if I'm being completely honest. The other build that I did try here was Rabbit Raider Jonesy, of course, with totally rocking out Fumble, Owl My Eye, Quickscope, Battle Beat, and Unearthly Treat. You can see it in the footage, occasionally me hitting for like 3 million, 3.5 million damage. But again, unless you're playing Endurance, when the hell do you need 3.5 million damage in the base game at 163? You don't, ever. So there are a few things about this weapon that I really dislike. For me personally, I kind of absolutely hate it. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I do not like scopes. I do not like headshot damage. And the 6th perk on this weapon is just kind of Even though it's the best of the bunch to use and utilize that 6th perk, the 6th perk in general is just kind of okay. Think about this. If you can roll one of these weapons with slow and snare and then put slow and snare as the 6th perk as well, you have 45% extra damage after the first shot. That is only 10% less damage, and you don't have to stand still for 10 seconds, which most likely, in most scenarios, will just get you killed anyway. So there you go, guys. That is the cleaner, the new assault rifle, the new sniper rifle that we just got. Should you level it up? In my opinion, unless you desperately need a mist monster killer, something to kill takers from afar, blasters from afar, then no. There are better guns. The Grunt is better DPS wise, the Old Betsy's better impact wise and reload wise. The gun just doesn't do what it's supposed to do well enough that I could honestly recommend it to you. That's my thoughts and comparisons on the cleaner. Guys, if you like this video, think about subscribing. If you're new to the channel, we just hit 30,000 subscribers, by the way. I need to make like a happy video about that, but thank you for that. Stay safe out there. If you guys want to catch the stream, we stream 5 days a week over at twitch.tv/roundedtiktak. We would love to see you. Come by, say what's up. Again, there will be a link to Displate down below. If you saw the previous video, we are now sponsored by Displate. Check them out down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Tiktak out.